Well, hello there, welcome to the Obi Foreign Alliance. In today's video, we'll be reviewing Homecoming, and in the review, Luke will be joining the review.
Tell us how season 1 ends, just as a recap.
Well, in the end, it's season 1. The villain, I guess, of the incident with season 1 gets fired or gets kind of brought to justice, and then we get worked out that the other female character gets put on. She puts some medicine, so they use it in a different way instead of feeding themselves with fruit, and then she's like using it in a different way, so you realize that you can use this interesting development in a different way. So it ends with some intrigue, and then also Julia Roberts psychiatrist character and Walter Cruz have a conversation, and because Julia Roberts isn't actually in season 2, Walter does feel like the main kind of joining point between the two seasons, even though because the main twist with season 2 is that it actually starts with this new female character being on this boat, and you're like, what's going on here? And then she's trying to work out what's happened.
So that's the character Jack's played by Lisa Monet, which is famously from a movie called Moonlight. I haven't seen, but apparently it's quite a good movie, and that's how she kind of got her start in Hollywood. And what did you think about her performance?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I actually didn't remember her in Moonlight, so to compare her to Julia Roberts, I thought they both did good performances. I think Walter Cruz is probably my favourite character, but...
And so it starts off with her, as you said, in this rowboat, and then kind of what happens from there? Like the next few episodes, what do we kind of find out about this character?
Well, she's trying to work out, where has she come from, who is she, and then we work out that she is apparently a soldier, and then she's she was in this hotel room, and then it starts off interesting from there, and then she goes to this hospital, and then she actually gets robbed.
Yeah, because you see her in the rowboat, and you see a suspicious character kind of walking off, and it looks as though it's Walter Cruz, and we do find out it is Walter Cruz. And you go, oh, what's happened here? It looks like she's been left for dead on this rowboat. And then, the episode continues from there, and she's kind of walking down the street, and police find her, and they assume she's been using drugs, because she doesn't know where she is, she doesn't remember her name, and she has a needle mark on her arm, which obviously later on down the show we find out why that is. And I personally know the first few episodes I really had no idea what was going on. She tried to retrace her steps. What were some of the places she went retracing her steps?
Restaurant.
And the waiter there said that she'd been there the night before with the character who he described. He basically described Walter Cruz, so you start to wonder what was his involvement there.
Yeah.
And then for the first episode, she has kind of like an accomplice that there's like an old gentleman that was at the hospital with her, and what happens between them two?
He's kind of a conspiracy person, and he's on like a lung tank because he has lung problems, and then they go to her hotel room, and then, like I said, he steals her money because we find out that she has money. Yeah,
there's like money, and I think there may have been was there a gun, or... Yeah, there's a few different things, and like fake passports, and which really made her confused about who she was.
Or who she is.
Yeah, and then they assume she's a in the army because she has like an Air Force tattoo on her arm, but then that rubs off and she has no idea. But we later find out what that is, and I guess this review is going to have spoilers in it. So from what how do we sum up what happens next? How do we find out what is the twist of this season?
The twist is that Walter Cruz is he regains his memories, and then the female character that took over from the character that was led to
Colin Belfast.
Yeah, he's actually in season 2 for one episode, what was like a flashback, and we actually get to meet the person that's behind the corporation. The actor's name is Chris Cooper.
Yep.
He's also in quite a lot of other properties and acting performance. He did quite a good acting performance, and he's actually against using his own product, and it's interesting what the product is. It's actually a fruit that somehow messes with your mind.
Yeah, because we find out in season 1 that they'd been basically they had these soldiers that were trying to get rehabilitated so they could return to war. So they somehow the Geist company who makes chemicals and cleaning products had worked out that this fruit helps people like take away their memories, but they thought that by giving small doses to people and doing some kind of therapy, you'd be able to get over traumatic incidents like going to war, so then you could return to war. Only to find out they'd been feeding the patients in high doses, which was not what they intended for. So Mr. Geist is quite against that when he finds out. And I guess we find out in season 2 that the character that was Julia Roberts' boss, this Colin, he gets fired because of
blamed for it.
Because of his secretary, who is this.
And she takes over.
Yeah, so she's the character you were referring to that was rubbing the stuff on her wrist at the end of the first season, and we find out that she had been, came up with a plot to try and. Not necessarily evil, she just wanted to get promoted in this world. Like, she was a secretary and she wanted to become the boss. So that was her way by throwing Colin's character under the bus.
Yeah.
And then we find out later, like, how is she related to this character we meet at the start, Jackie?
Their love interest, they're lesbians.
Yep. And we find out that she'd actually asked Jackie to go on this mission to see Walter where she loses her memory, and what's their motive behind sending her there? To
find out if Walter has regained his memories or not, and to deal with him.
Yeah, because they fear that basically she gets an email saying that Walter Cruz has requested from the Department of Veteran Affairs that he wants his medical records, and the Geist company, because they did these tests on him and had him in their program, they wanted to they would have to release those medical records, and they're worried that he's going to find out, or he has his memory and he's going to sue them. So they basically she sends her girlfriend Jackie to try and suss out if he's got his memories, and if he does, to try and convince him not to sue. Because what was her job before that? It was a bit of an interesting job.
I think it's like working as a security person.
Kind of. What they was getting her to do was she worked for herself, but her job was to go to workplaces and try and convince people not to sue their workplaces. So if someone had been, bullied or assaulted in the office, the company would call this lady up and tell her to come in, and they'd pay her money to go, I don't think you should sue your bosses, like it's not worth it, like you should go do this, or which is actually quite bad. Like, she's a bit of a bad person in general, but she tries to convince women that had been assaulted not to sue their bosses because she'd been paid to do so. So she's actually quite a bad person.
But you like her at the start, and then it's kind of the thing that you want to find out what sort of person she is. But the character that's really the character that you kind of root for, that's how the shows are connected, because you can argue season 1 and season 2 are kind of standalone seasons, as Walter Cruz is the main character and the actor does an excellent job. Yeah, and the military actually get involved as well, because they actually have like this court meeting, and it looks like the guy's company is going to go down, but this military general steps in, and it's like, no, we want this plant fruit so we can, I guess, use it to forget, use it for ourselves and for others, enemies as well.
Yeah, so that's Joan Cusack's character. So they find out that the Geist company, what they did actually worked. It wiped people's memories, and they were like, cool.
Just set for Walter.
They were like, well, I did wipe his memory. He just remembered some things.
He's a loose cannon, yeah.
Yeah, but he definitely doesn't remember. He said he has no recollection of going to war. So they wiped the parts that mattered, but he doesn't. He talks about how he can remember what happens. He remembers going to school and his military training, but he just doesn't remember being in the military. So it worked on a very specific part of him. So she goes, awesome, we can use this medication to wipe more soldiers. And the Geist company guy, he's really against it. So that they basically say, we're the military, we're going to do what we want. We're going to take your company, we're going to take your farm. And
he actually gets his farmers to destroy his fruit. The one thing that I think I'm confused, I don't know about yourself, is with the fruit, how is it that with forgetting and stuff like that, do you think Chris Cooper's character was the first one that found it? Like that was never explained in the show. That's the one kind of plot hole thing that I'm confused with, because who found the fruit? It's like the thing that it's the main storyline, but it's like this big fruit farm and everything like that. But someone would have had to be a test subject. So did someone find it or test it, but you would forget your memory? So that's something that never got brought up in the show.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I wonder the same, and I guess you assume that he discovered it
and didn't touch it.
Yeah, and you wonder, how did he work out that it...
what it does?
Yeah, I think that's a hard thing. Because it may have made more sense if, for instance, he had a family member that ate it and they forgot their memory, and then he was really...
asked a scientist
and he maybe was really against it then, but he's not. Because he says in it how he was proud of what they could do, but then once he discovered that people were going to use it for evil, he wanted to get rid of it. So he's actually a good character.
He's amazing.
He was hoping that this fruit he found was going to be a wonder drug to help people with anxiety and depression and forget traumatic memories, which the female character that's the girlfriend of Jackie, who's the head of, high up in the Geist company, she actually uses it that way by rubbing it on her wrist, and she reckons it works. But they that's actually what she wants. She wants to try and show the Geist company, hey, it works like this, we should sell this. But then as the Geist that owns the farm, the head of the company, he goes, no, it's too risky. There's people that want it for evil. There's people
the military,
the military want to use this for evil. So be it. If I'm going to go to jail, I'm going to destroy this at all cost. Tell me a little bit about the twist. So we mentioned about how she forgot her memory, but we haven't mentioned how. So tell us how that unfolds, what we find out towards, I think it might be the second last episode or so.
Well, actually, the interesting thing is that we find out the twist, that the clever thing that season 2 actually does is that it does in the reversed order, so you're actually watching it backwards. So technically, the twist is that she was originally going to do the medicine so Walter Cruz would forget his memories, but he actually does it to her, so she forgets her memories. So she kind of got karma back on her.
Yeah, I really love the twist that you think that she's a likable character and someone's taken her memory from her, only to realise that she's she's actually a bad person going to do a bad thing that then gets karma to backfire on her.
Yeah.
And I think the show makes you go on this emotional roller coaster with her, and there's some characters you kind of feel for, but hers you don't, because when you see the flashbacks of her, you realise she's actually quite a bitch. Like, she's not a nice person. Like, she does bad things.
It actually makes you think the person that took her money, that he actually deserved that money, because, you know, he's someone that actually needs it more than she does.
Yeah. I think it's pretty convenient for the plot that her job happens to be like a negotiator, that her job is to go convince people not to sue companies, and then her girlfriend happens to have this guy, Walter, that's might sue their company, which he doesn't. He just wants to know. Like, but they don't know that. He just wants to know what tests they did on him at Homecoming and why he can't remember what happened. And then tell me, like, it kind of comes to a point, like the last episode. So the timeline kind of starts in the middle. It shows you flashbacks, and then it kind of meets up at the same point where she was in the rowboat, and then it pushes forward. And then where does it conclude at?
Basically, because I believe basically shows up when Walter and Chris Cooper's character, we see them kind of talk and hash a plan, and then the two female characters meet up and speak to each other, and then
and where's that? It's at like some kind of party, isn't it?
At the office that we saw in season 1.
The military, like, they want to host some kind of party to celebrate that they're going to basically buy or own this Homecoming drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the joke's on them, because Walter Cruz and Chris Cooper's characters has a plan to put the drug in the wine, alcohol, and then everyone forgets their memories, even the general, and then
Yeah, it's a bit funny though. They all kind of fall to the ground and they're all visibly sick, where you haven't seen that happen with anyone else.
Dramatic effect, I think.
Yeah, like Jackie's character, when she got injected with it, she kind of like slumped over, but she wasn't like this. And then when Julia Roberts' character ate it, the same. And when Walter Cruz's character ate it, he didn't have that. But in this effect, it's like hundreds of people all slowly collapsing and talking, and they're like, "Oh, I'm starting to forget my memory." It was like it was very dramatic, but it was good. What do you think about that? Do you think that was the best ending they could have had, or?
Yeah, it was a pretty good ending.
Do you think it leaves it open for season 3? Sorry, or that's
probably the if they do a season 3, I think that's probably the last season that they can do. Because the problem is, if they keep dragging it out, that's when it kind of loses its charm, I think. I only see one more season, to be honest, if that.
What kind of gives the impression there might be another season? Like, what happens with Walter right at the end?
Well, he kind of moves on, but they can always make...
But he has like a list of all the other people that have been through the Homecoming program, so...
Yeah.
It makes you think that maybe there's another season where he goes and tracks down these people and lets them know what happens, but I don't know if that would be an interesting show. I think maybe that's kind of something they've planted so that we imagine that that's what goes and happens, but we don't actually see it.
It's that thing, if they need to do, we'll see, but if we don't, it's kind of, keeping the door open, as they say.
Yeah, because... I think season 2, in my opinion, is probably going to be the last. I think if there's a third, who would be the villain? Because the head of Geist, Mr. Geist, he's a good guy and he's destroyed all his crops and he's moving on. And the military, the people that know, don't remember.
Well, the general has forgotten.
So all the other people have forgot. So I think the only future villain could be
Julia Roberts, if she wants to come back.
Yeah, but I think she's a good person. I think the first season, she she isn't fully aware at times of what the implications are of the medication. She's just trying to be a good social worker, and it kind of backfires. And then, I know, unless someone discovers this fruit again, I just don't know who would be the villain if there was another season. And I don't know if I'd enjoy watching an episode where Walter just goes around telling people that forgot their memory what happened, because they would probably assume he's lying, that he's a bad guy. So
yeah, probably just one more season if they need to. 3 seasons, I think. 3 or 2 will be enough. I don't see how they can drag it out to 4.
So what's your review on this season? What's your verdict and rating?
My score for Homecoming Season 2 on Amazon Prime is a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah.
And what did you give season 1?
Season 1 and 3?
Yep, so you think you enjoyed it more than season 1, obviously?
Yeah, I think the 7 episodes kind of, they kind of needed to focus on things a little bit more. Sometimes having more episodes doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better, and I think 7 episodes kind of made it that, maybe the 2 episodes were a little bit slow and then it got better, and I think compared to season 1, you can actually watch it again. I think season 1 is more of a season that you only need to watch once, because I think the twist in season 2 is better than season 1, because the twist is, she's actually a villain, but you're actually thinking, oh, is she a good guy? And the twist in season 1 is what actually happened. Did Walter Cruz actually say these things? What actually happened? And once you find that out, it's like, do I need to watch that twist again?
Yeah, I agree. I think season 2's rewatchable. I think it's a good twist because you don't see it coming. Like, I generally mean it. Like, when watching it, it's not predictable. Season 1, the twist was pretty apparent. Like, they, from the first episode, kept showing this berry and picking this fruit, and you kept seeing this vial of purpley coloured substance, and you thought, okay, they're doing something here. And it came, I guess the only twist in season 1 was that Julia Roberts was aware. I just assumed she was a good person that didn't know what her employer was doing, but other than that came pretty obvious what was happening at this facility. But season 2, not until the twist becomes apparent, I don't think you could predict that. You assume that she's a good person that's been brainwashed or lost her memory. Like, I even thought maybe she had been through the Homecoming program, because in the trailer they show like a picture of where she's sitting at a table in like a testing facility, and they're talking about, and you later work out that's just when she goes to this party, she like sneaks in and she ends up sitting in this room with other people. But it kind of, the trailer made me think that she was someone that had been through Homecoming and she was searching for the truth, but actually she had never been to Homecoming. So so I think anyone that's seen the season will know what we're talking about, and they probably agree and really enjoy it. And
so, are you glad that you watched Homecoming? I guess if season 3 does happen, do you think you'll watch season 3, or do you think season 2 will kind of
I'll watch season 3 if there is one. I don't think there will be, but if there is, I'll watch it. I'm glad I did watch Homecoming, because it's a show you wouldn't know about. Like, it's on Amazon Prime, so not...
I think The Boys and The Expanse and other shows are more there, and Jack Ryan are more their more popular shows, and Homecoming is kind of more their hidden wonder show.
Yeah, like, it's at least it's not a main show on not an overly popular streaming service. Like, Amazon Prime's obviously used by a lot of people, but If it was on Netflix, probably more people would know about it. That's
Yeah.
the way I would put it. If it was a Netflix original, people would know about it more. But it's for those that have seen it, you're either going to love it or hate it. You're either going to watch the Homecoming season 1 and 2 and go, this show's weird, it's not for me, or you watch it and go, wow, this is unique. Because it is. It's definitely unique, but some people will get bored and not persist.
Did you find that it was quite a quick watch? And I remember you saying season 1 you actually fell asleep, and you didn't say that with season 2. Was that because it went for 7 episodes compared to
I think it was just more engaging. See, the first 2 episodes of season 2 were a bit slower, and I was getting a bit tired watching it, and thought, oh, this is boring me a bit. But then from episode 3 to 7, just watched straight. Didn't stop. So
yeah,
so I enjoy it more. I didn't give season 1 a rating, and I don't think I'll bother to give season 2 a rating. That's your role, but I consider season 2 significantly better than season 1.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think if it does have a season 3, hopefully they make it make sense and not just do it for, money reasons, and actually make it make sense. Because I feel like season 1 and season 2, they make sense, but sometimes the problem is they do it because the others were successful, but they're actually not as good. But I feel like the story at most has 1 more season. I don't see it continuing after season 3 if it does have a season 3.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I would probably say that is there any other characters that you would like to see in season 3 besides Walter Cruz? I feel like he's the main character, kind of like in the Sinner with Ambrose. He's like the main character that continues through.
Maybe Jackie's character, maybe, because she was by the time she'd lost her memory, she actually became a good person. So maybe her, I don't know, not remembering everything, but knowing a bit about what happened and maybe helping Walter Cruz in season 3 with telling other people what happened. But other than that, I think every other character's kind of got what was coming for him.
Is there any other shows that you can think of that are kind of like Homecoming, or do you think Homecoming's that unique that that's what it has over other shows?
I'm sure there is shows like this. It's very hard to find something that's a complete unique idea, but I haven't seen anything like it.
I think Mr. Robot, because it's from the same writers and directors.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Let the Force be with you. Thanks for coming along, Luke, and I hope you've enjoyed your journey with Homecoming, and until we see you next time, bye-bye.